We are very excited to be using it'sLearning to report progress starting this school year. On it'sLearning, you'll be able to do many things, but right now we're going to focus on the reporting progress piece. You'll be able to see how your child is progressing in the areas of reading, writing, and maths. You'll also be able to see growth of your child between the different assessments. And you will be able to see some next steps for your child's growth in the areas of reading, writing, and math. Our it'sLearning is created with a continuum type of design where students progress through the stages at their pace. Let's take a look at how you will be using it'sLearning as a parent. So here I am at the it'sLearning Design 39 campus login page. I'm going to be logging in. You'll be logging in with the paperwork that your child's homeroom teacher has given to you. And sometimes it takes a few seconds to actually log in, but I promise you it will log in. There we go. So here I am, I'm a parent, and this is the page that I'm going to see right when I log in. If you notice to the side, I have my children, and according to this fake parent, I have 3 children, one named Kinder Test, one named First Grade Test, and one named Sally Test. And as you see right now, we're on Kinder Test's profile, and we've created these individual learning plans, which your child and your child's homeroom teacher might be using that feature. We're going to go and take a look at this child that we named First Grade Test. Again, this is just a child's name that we're using. And I'm going to go over and click this button here and see First Grade Child's Profile. When I click that, I see 3 tabs are going to be appearing. The gradebook feature is not a feature that we're looking to be using right now in our span, but we will be using this Learning Objectives tab. When you click on the Learning Objectives tab, this is one way that you can see how your child is doing in reading, writing, and math. You notice when I click on that, you can see the words D39C Primary Reading. And I can see that so far my child is not fully meeting one of the learning objectives and is meeting 2 of the learning objectives. If I'd like to kind of see a little bit more information, I'm going to click further. And now it opens up the different stages and the areas within primary reading. So we have our letter knowledge stage, our early emergent reader stage, our upper emergent reader stage, and it continues to go on the continuum. For my child that I'm looking at right now, this child is still working within those areas. Let's say I'd like to see how is my child doing on their early emergent reading. I can see from this chart over here that this child has been assessed 2 times, that the first time they were doing pretty well but didn't fully meet that learning objective. The second time they are meeting the learning objective. An early emergent reader is kind of working on comprehension, decoding skills, and sight words in levels 1 to 4. So if I'd like to get even more information, if the graph, if you would like to see even further, you can go ahead and click on the area, and it will bring you into the actual criteria, and you can see highlighted of where the LED assessed your child's. If I take a look over here and click this way, I can see the different times my child was assessed. So if I want to look at the first time they were assessed, let's say this actually happened in maybe September, and I can see at this time my child only knew 11 to 16 sight words, and in decoding was using the pictures and the first letter to help, and in comprehension kind of needed those prompts to be able to tell the details. If I go and I look towards the more current assessment, I can see, wow, my child has grown maybe this is actually given in November. I can see from September to November my child has grown by reading sight words and now is actually using the picture, the letters and words, and the context of the sentence to determine the unknown word, and is also able to do that basic retelling for the comprehension piece. So I can see that my child now meets this particular learning stage, which means they would be moving on to the next stage, as you can see right here in the upper emergent reader. And let's say I have another child in the grade span as well. I'm going to go over to Sally. So here's Sally. You can see what courses Sally would be in. And again, there's Sally's profile. So I'm going to click that. And I'm going to look over at the learning objectives. And I can see that in Sally's learning profile, we're going to focus on just primary reading for this one. You can see that so far she's this is like a continuum. So far she's pretty much close to mastering or being secure on one of the learning objectives, and she's still kind of working on another learning objective. If I'd like to get more details, I would go ahead and click primary reading. And again, it brings up that those graphs and the more detailed reports if you would like to look at them. And you can see with Sally in the letter knowledge, she was assessed twice. And the first time maybe really just knew a very few letters and letter sounds. And this next time she was assessed, she's definitely making some progress. Again, you can go and you can click if you would like to see further. We're going to go to the very first time she was given the assessment. So the very first time, she was only able to identify 8 to 13 letters, which is great. The teacher, the LED, could leave some notes down here so I know as a parent, okay, she knows all of these letters, so we can start working on some other letters. For capital or for lowercase, she's still working on those areas. If I go and I take a look at how did she do in this very most recent assessment, well, look, I can see that she made progress. She now knows 19 to 23 letters, as well as 19 to 23 lowercase letters. And look at that. She's been really focusing and working on her sounds and making progress in those areas. So these are just some examples so that way you can start to get an idea of how you're going to be able to see your child's progress in reading, writing, and math with using it'sLearning. We'll be back next week or in the next video to show you a little bit about how writing will look.